We are going to be talking about Dave Filoni's plan for the future of Star Wars going forward, his supposed plan to save the franchise, which I don't want to call it save the Star Wars franchise, but his supposed plan to save the Star Wars franchise. And now that Kathleen Kennedy is gone, Dave Filoni is going to be taking over and going to be changing the direction of Star Wars going forward. Dave Filoni has already laid out the groundwork for where he wants Star Wars to go in the future. Like, we're going to get some more Mandoverse shows, we're going to get some more standalone films that fill in the gaps of the saga, and it's going to be more focused on iconic characters rather than just a film that plays it safe like The Mandalorian and Grogu, which we all know that The Mandalorian and Grogu was a failure in the box office. Not quite a flop because it still made its money back. It made a little over $300 million back, which was the amount that was spent on the film. And like the cost of making it was $166 million, but everything that comes with it adds up to a little over $300 million. So it still made its money back, but it's also not a success. It's still a failure. And because of The Mandalorian and Grogu being a failure, there also might be a decision that they're going to do season 4, and season 4 is still on the table, but I think that season 4 is enabled to happen because of the failure of The Mandalorian and Grogu. And now that Dave Filoni's in charge, it's very likely that we'll see season 4 of The Mandalorian return at some point, and it'll come out at some point. So we'll have 4 seasons of The Mandalorian that leads up to The Mandalorian and Grogu, which ties the Mandalorian series together. And then we have Skeleton Crew, The Book of Boba Fett, and then we also have Ahsoka Season 1 and Season 2, which is coming out next year in 2027. And then as for the future, they're aiming for like 2 Star Wars shows a year, and then 1 Star Wars film a year. And I think another suggestion like I might put out there is like move the release date. Instead of a May release, put it as a December release, because technically part of the reason why The Mandalorian and Grogu bombed and Solo bombed is because they put the release dates in May instead of December. But that's not the full reason why they both bombed. That's just part of the reason. But I think that they should change from a May release to a December release for future Star Wars movies. We have Star Wars Starfighter, which is coming out next year, which is set and on track to do even better than The Mandalorian and Grogu, which I hope it does, but it's pretty likely because I hear people all the time say that they're more excited for Starfighter than they are for The Mandalorian and Grogu. And really, with Disney and Lucasfilm, they don't care how well The Mandalorian and Grogu does in the box office. They care more about how well it does on Disney Plus. And the majority of people who enjoy The Mandalorian would prefer to see The Mandalorian and Grogu on Disney Plus. So it might do better than what it did in the box office. So we'll have to wait and see when The Mandalorian and Grogu comes on Disney Plus, but there's a good chance that it'll do better on Disney Plus than it did in the box office. And Dave Filoni has his own Heir to the Empire Star Wars movie, which I have a feeling that that's not going to be the only Star Wars movie that Dave Filoni's going to do. I think he's planning an entire trilogy that's going to tie the Mandoverse together and especially connect to Ahsoka Season 2, as Ahsoka Season 2 builds up Thrawn as heir to the Empire, and then Thrawn returns to the known galaxy as heir to the Empire. That sets the stage for Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie, and this could be the whole canon version of the Thrawn trilogy if Dave Filoni's trilogy does come to fruition, and it's an entire Mandoverse trilogy. We have Heir to the Empire, Dark Forces Rising, and The Last Command. We'll get a whole canon version of that and new novels to those films, and that'll be all the canon: Heir to the Empire, Dark Forces Rising, and The Last Command. And of course we have those same books in Star Wars Legends. So I think that with all of this Thrawn and Heir to the Empire, a lot of the ideas are going to be taken from Star Wars Legends, and be used in Dave Filoni's Mandoverse film, and possibly he'll do a whole Star Wars trilogy based on Thrawn as the big bad guy of the New Republic, and all this Thrawn and the New Republic, and then also might involve original trilogy characters with Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie as well. And we have Han, Luke, and Leia, a return of iconic characters. And when we have a return of iconic characters like Han, Luke, and Leia, those films are a lot less likely to flop, just like The Mandalorian and Grogu did, and it'll do well in the box office and on streaming. So, but as far as the future goes, they're aiming for 2 Star Wars shows and 1 Star Wars film a year. My suggestion is to move it all the way until December, and then have a December release for every new Star Wars movie, and then have like 2 Star Wars shows throughout the year. I think they should do it that way, and Lucasfilm would be far better off. But Dave Filoni does have a plan to save the Star Wars franchise going forward, and I look forward to see what happens in the future with Star Wars. But I think, and now that Dave Filoni is also heir apparent to George Lucas, he studied under George Lucas, and he's going to apply that to storytelling in Lucasfilm. So, as that being said, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. Do make sure to smash a like, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you all later in another video.